الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد أنزلنا إليك آيات بينات وما يكفر بها إلا الفاسقون أو كلما عاهدوا عهدا نبذه فريق منهم بل أكثرهم لا يؤمنون صدق الله العظيم. Regarding Ayat number 99 of Surat al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, addressing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam directly, وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ, and indeed or definitely we have revealed to you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ayatim bayyinat, very, very clear ayat. Great ayat that the meaning is very clear. وَمَا يَكْفُرُ بِهَا إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ, and no one will deny these ayat, no one will disbelieve in these verses. إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ, except those who are fasiqun, those who do fisq. The very beginning portion of this ayah, specifically ayatim bayyinat, those ayat that are very, very clear, the details of which are given. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in a few places in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that ask the experts in a field if you don't know something. This is a very, very particular hukum in a few places in the Quran, that we're told to go and ask the experts about something if we don't know. What is amazing about the Quran and the topics that are discussed in the Quran, the various sciences and funun and ulum of the Quran, is that when you ask the experts in a particular field regarding some of these ulum, these sciences, these knowledges, if you ask the experts of that field, they will testify to the fact that whatever is mentioned in the Quran is the truth and it is perfect, or at least it coincides with whatever they're able to consider as close to perfection as much as they can. Because as human beings, we have not yet reached perfection in anything. Everything that we have, we are still trying to perfect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us human beings with this system, that at any moment in history where we have thought that we have reached the peak of something, we have reached the perfection of something, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created within this human being, within this insan, has created within us a system of always wanting to improve, always wanting something new. This is our nature. Every time we think that we have reached the perfection of something, so something else comes up, something new comes up. 100 years ago, we never thought that we could get any better. Now look where we are. We have vehicles, and we thought, you take any field, we thought that you could not make the car any better. You have certain companies that made certain vehicles as best as they could. You couldn't get any better than this. Now, every few months, there's a new technology, a new system of car that is coming out. This electric vehicle and this flying car and this and whatever funny other ideas we're coming up with. And slowly but steadily, we human beings, we are still improving. Anytime we human beings have stopped this improvement, we have seen nothing but downfall. So there's no field that is completely perfect, but those who are in a particular field. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made indications in the Quran in various aspects, in various forms, explaining various truths in various ways. We have gone over some of these fields. The field of medicine, the field of ideology, psychology, human psychology, human behavior, understanding various sciences and the scientific facts that are mentioned in the Quran, to even how the military operates. Also the military, what is amazing about them, they even have coded language whenever they speak. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this coded language also. We have huruf muqatta'at, abbreviated letters, alif lam mim, alif lam ra, taha, ta, sin, mim. There are various huruf muqatta'at, various letters that are abbreviated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned throughout the Quran, some 29 surahs in the Quran, that begin with these huruf muqatta'at. They're a secret code between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we can appreciate the value of code, especially if it is used to protect something, or especially if it is used to protect secrets. Go ask those who are in programming the value of code. That how amazing code can be, how amazing coding can be, especially when it comes to defense. And when you go into protecting certain systems, certain secrets, protecting valuable things, then you understand the importance of how amazing this code can be and how deep it can be. And sometimes a simple program can be very, very deep. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in the Quran, the most simple program where it's just letters. But it's so deep in its meaning that we human beings have yet to find out the true meaning of these huruf. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned this in the Quran. Yes, maybe 1400 years ago it may have been difficult to understand the value of these huruf muqatta'at, but living in a world of coding where almost every second person you meet has something to do with IT, and they can tell you how important even one semicolon can be in a whole code. You can have hundreds of thousands of lines of code and some semicolon somewhere or some dot somewhere is missing in the wrong place. And go ask them what will happen to the code if you run it, and how many problems it can arise from that. Sometimes even the experts are looking for the guy who wrote the code because they don't know how to fix it. He missed some dot somewhere. But this is how amazing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also created a similar system in the Quran as well. These huruf muqatta'at, how amazing they are. But this is just one aspect of ayatim bayyinat, to understand those ayat. But their meaning is very, very deep, but also very, very clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا, definitely we have revealed, إِلَيْكَ to you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ayatim bayyinat, ayat that are very, very clear. And such ayat that are very deep in their meaning as well. Due to the lack of time, we will inshallah move on to the next part of this ayah. Otherwise, we might have to go so deep that we may even get lost within these two words. We'll inshallah move to the next part of this ayah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, and there are many, many points about ayatim bayyinat that inshallah in future, when we get to ayat like this, we will try our best to explain further. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَمَا يَكْفُرُ بِهَا إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ. No one will deny these ayat. No one will do kufr with these ayat in bayyinat. إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ, except those who are fasiqun. What should be understood is that in this world, there may be many various systems in our day-to-day lives that as human beings, we tend to always go to experts. And we tend to trust the experts because we ourselves cannot know or do not know that what these experts are telling us, how we can even find out from our own side. If we have a physical problem, you go to the doctor, and the doctor tells you you have a particular problem. They run certain tests, and they tell you you have this particular problem. If we don't listen to the experts and we try to run those tests ourselves, first of all, we may not even understand those tests. We may not even understand how to do those kind of tests. And in the end, we may reach a different conclusion, and even then we'll be wrong. And if we don't listen and we don't take the advice of those experts, often at time we harm ourselves. And this is something that a foolish person may do. He may try and challenge the experts, thinking that he knows more than the experts. And oftentimes this person who's challenging the experts only makes himself look like a fool. And everyone around will say that this person is very, very foolish. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us regarding denying the ayat of the Quran, that it takes a particular type of person who would go about denying these ayat. When they are so clear, their meaning is so clear, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the Quran so easy to understand, has put so many proofs and so many various beautiful formats. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the Quran and the truth within the Quran, that even then if a person does not accept, so this person seriously has a problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that those who are fasiqun, they are the ones who deny the Quran. And who are the fasiqun? They are those that are involved in fisq. And what is fisq? There are particular sins that are mentioned in the Quran. You have to understand the system of sins. We have ithm in the Quran, or ism, sins in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are various levels. And these levels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for these sins, you find them in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some of these sins, they are major sins, they're kaba'ir or kubra. And they're such that they can even destroy a person. There are amongst them akbarul kaba'ir, the most major of sins. And you have various categories when you get into the sins. You have major sins, you have minor sins, these are the major category. And then it trickles down into various categories. The akbarul kaba'ir, the most major of sins. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he has told us that the akbarul kaba'ir, the most major of sins, an tushrika billah, that you associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the most major sin. Shirk, associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa uququl walidain, disrespecting the parents, or breaking and taking away the rights of the parents, not fulfilling the rights of the parents. This is the most major sin after shirk. Wa qatlun nafs, committing murder. This is another major sin. And also shahadatul zur, giving false testimony. You're called to a case to be a witness. And you know the truth, but there, instead of telling the truth, you either make up a lie to destroy the person, or you make up a lie to save the criminal. Either way, it's shahadatul zur, bearing false testimony. Then there are many other, these are the most major of sins, the akbarul kaba'ir. Then there are those sins that come along with these, and these are sins that can destroy a person. Person involved in these kind of sins individually, so that person, it will destroy the person. The next sin that comes after that is dhulm, oppression, taking the rights of people, oppressing people, oppressing the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has told us, الظُّلْمُ ظُلُمَاتٌ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, that dhulm or oppression, there will be many, many darknesses on the day of judgment. The person will be covered with darknesses because of the dhulm or oppression that they may have committed in this dunya, in this world. Then comes running away from the battlefield, becoming a coward at a time when you're told to defend the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at that time a person flees or he runs away. This can destroy a person. So there are various levels. This is one type of sin. These are the kaba'ir or the kubra, the major sins. There are some 77 major sins. We've been told in the hadith up to 77 major sins. These are the most major of the sins. Then there's a category of sins that are referred to as fisq or fusuq. These are sins that affect the modesty or the haya of a person. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has told us in a hadith, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you don't have any haya, if you don't have modesty, so then you'll do whatever you want. So a fasiq is someone who has no modesty. He doesn't care if somebody is seeing him committing a sin. And this destroys the modesty and the morality within a society. Amongst that is zina, fornication. More major than that is adultery. And then coming into even the liwatat or the amal of qawmi Lut, those who are the homosexual and these gays, what is going on nowadays. They're trying to justify this. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us of a time that before the major signs of the Day of Judgment will start, one of the signs that will happen right before the major signs of the Day of Judgment will start is that this amal of qawmi Lut, this homosexuality and being gay, this will prevail in the world. This will spread in the world. And men will lie down with men and women will lie down with women, and this will become accepted in society. So we're on those major signs of the Day of Judgment, we're there. But we see this happening throughout the world. They're trying to make it accepted. And this is an amal that is even worse than the creation. There's no other creation that you find getting involved in this kind of very terrible act. This goes to show how terrible we human beings can become. But there's no morality. And what is the reality of this kind of sin is that if you read the ayat of the Quran regarding Qawmi Lut, so those who are involved in this sin, they used to make fun of those who were against this sin. They used to even tell Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam and his family, إِنَّهُمْ أُنَاسٌ يَتَطَهَّرُونَ. They used to make fun of them that these are people who want to be clean or try to be pure. They don't sympathize with us. This is what they're trying to spread nowadays throughout the world, that if you don't support this type of people or this group, so then you're considered an evil person. Just go back 10, 15 years ago, this was considered a terrible thing. These people were despised in society, but how quickly it has been accepted throughout the world. So this in itself is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. But this also falls under the fusuq, or those who are fasiqeen. Then you get into those type of sins that relate to wealth, but also affect a person's haya. For example, theft. So a thief, he doesn't have any shame. He doesn't have any shame that what he's doing is taking the rights of other people without their permission. You take the person who takes the rights of orphans, who eats the wealth of orphans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clearly states in the Quran, do not eat the wealth of the orphans. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. Do not eat the wealth of the orphans in a wrong way. You're only putting the fire of Jahannam in your stomach. Meaning you're only burning yourself. So very, very clear, there are people who look for situations and scenarios of people in society who are weak and who don't have any way of defending themselves, and then they go and usurp their rights. There's also those type of people who don't have any haya, don't have any modesty. Along with this comes those sins that are related to these type of sins, the sins that are related to zina. For example, the aspect of dress. There are many, many people who dress very immodestly, especially throughout the world, in certain climates, certain temperatures. People dress in such a way where it's very, very ajib, very, very strange. So these things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran clearly tells us, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزَّنَا. Don't even go close to zina. So these are the things that lead to zina or lead to this type of major sins. But also all of these sins, they start, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, when He speaks about fisq, one thing that He tells us is related to haram food, eating haram. Because akli haram, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of those meats in the Quran, that meat which is haram, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, ذَلِكُمْ fisq. That is fisq. That is what is the essence or the starting point of a person losing their haya. Because what you fuel your body with, that's the kind of amal that are going to come out. That's the kind of action that are going to come out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered all of the Anbiya alayhimus salam and all of the messengers and prophets. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a very direct hukum in the Quran. Ya ayyuhar rusulu kulu min at-tayyibat wa'amalu salihan. O my messengers, eat of the pure things in this earth, not just halal. One is having halal food. One is having pure halal food. One is to have halal food, something that is halal. One is to have halal, but make sure that it is also pure. You make that extra effort to make sure that you eat pure food. كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Eat from the earth the pure halal things. وَعَمَلُوا صَالِحًا, and do righteous deeds. What is amazing about the Quran is that when you see things mentioned in sequential order, often the time there's a very, very direct link between those things mentioned in sequential order. So here, the Rasul or the messengers, they're commanded on first command that you eat pure and halal food. Then the second command, وَعَمَلُوا صَالِحًا, you do righteous deeds. Because there is a direct link between what you consume and the righteous deeds that you perform. And you will find, you'll be surprised anytime you are consuming something haram. Even if you don't know, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is Ghafoor Rahim. He will definitely forgive us if we don't know. But it still has a profound impact in the a'mal. Sometimes the khushu' is gone. You'll be praying salah, you'll not be able to focus. Sometimes a person starts getting late from salah, missing the first rak'ah. Sometimes missing takbir ula. Sometimes altogether, some situations happen. Person might even miss a salah. All of these are results. And not just salah, other a'mal also. If in our daily habit we have certain good deeds, you'll start finding yourself becoming lazy in performing those good deeds. Just go check what you're eating, what you're consuming. There may be something, it's not every case, but there is a chance that you're consuming something that may not be halal, and that is having an impact on your a'mal, having an impact on your khushu', on your devotion, having an impact on the sincerity. So this is the direct correlation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. That is why you find the diets of the Anbiya alayhi wasalam, their diet was very, very pure. They had a very, very unique diet, a very healthy diet, also very unique. They used to eat very, very simple food, and they had very, very halal food. And most of them, the vast majority of the Anbiya alayhi wasalam, they were themselves shepherds, they were themselves farmers. They grew their own food, and then they ate that. Many of them were wealthy, yes, but even they grew their own food. They were shepherds. They even had their own animals. They slaughtered their own animals with their own hands, and then they would eat that. This was something they were very, very particular about. And this is not the case of one Nabi. I'm giving you many, many Anbiya alayhi wasalam. Many you will find. And I mentioned in the Quran, at one point in life, they were also shepherds. Or they were farmers, and they only ate. Because the hukum, they were told in the Quran very clearly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you eat the pure things from this earth. Make sure that it is pure when you're putting it in your body. And this has a very, sometimes you don't think. One of the righteous scholars of the past, one of the great scholars and ulama of the past, he, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the four A'immah, of the four madahib. So he was giving a lecture, and in his lecture he kind of mentioned how for such a prolonged period of time, he never missed the first takbir. He kind of, sometimes a person gets excited. So he said, Alhamdulillah, just to give an example to his students, that for these many months or years, I have not missed the first takbir. He kind of gave to show that he was just to give encouragement to the students. So there was also sisters in the bayan and the halaqa. And when he went home, so his wife told him, yes, that is very good, but the fact that you're making it to salah, you should be giving me credit. The Shaykh said, what have you done? You haven't done anything. I'm very particular. Why do you want credit for it? She said, okay, no problem. We'll see. So all of a sudden, the next day, he missed the first rak'ah. Started slowly missing the first takbir, missing rak'ah. This happened for a few days. So he came home very worried after a few days, and his wife said, what's wrong? He said, for the past few days I've been missing the first rakah. She said, I told you should give me credit. So he said, what have you done? You tell me, what have you done? She said, okay, you don't want to give me credit, no problem. This is going to continue happening. He said, okay, fine, no problem. Just tell me what you have done. She said, for these many years that you mentioned you did not miss the first rakah, you did not miss the first takbir, every time I cook food, I make wudu. I never cook the food for you without wudu. I have not ever cooked food for you without wudu. For these many years that you mentioned. He said, but you bragged about how this was your credit, and I told you to give me credit, but you didn't. So the first meal after that I cooked without wudu. And now you see you're missing your salah. So he said, oh, subhanallah. He said, I'm so sorry. I thought this was my effort. So this also applies. This also has a profound impact on the a'mal. Who is making your food and in what condition they are when they're making the food. Even though whatever condition the women go through, at least she had this much in her. That if I'm making food for the family, I will have wudu. There's also righteousness starts in the house, at home. So how righteous you may see some of the shuyukh or the ulama, you'll be surprised how righteous their families are. Their wives are. Often at time it has very, very direct impact. So this is one thing also about eat pure things from the earth. That also when you cook, check. We know many of our mashayikh, they avoid eating in restaurants. They avoid eating out. One time we were explaining to one of the mashayikh, he came to visit us, so we were telling him the fadail of America. And we told him how many restaurants have halal food. This in this restaurant is this type of fish, and in this restaurant is this type of vegetarian menu, and this kind of, and this is halal, and this is halal. And he asked a very simple question. He said, okay, the people who cook it, are they even Muslim? All of us went quiet. We said, So okay. And he told us this story. He said, you see, you people are only looking at halal, haram. You people aren't even worried what's behind that. One is the fatwa. The fatwa is it's halal. Please don't go around saying, we were told everything is halal. No. Halal is halal. But those who really want that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're also particular about, okay, who's making my food? Who's cooking it? Who's checking it? These things also, they affect the taqwa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us taqwa. We're all weak. We also eat at restaurants, okay? I'm just sharing this with you, that when you find those who are very, very righteous, they're very careful who cooks their food. So this has also profound impact. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us. The food has a profound impact on a person becoming righteous, or a person losing haya and modesty. It starts from the food. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed Adam alayhi salam and his wife, our mother Hawa radiyallahu anha, when they were allowed to live in Jannah. And when you read those ayat in the Quran, in multiple places in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that when they ate from the tree, they were prohibited from eating from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to enjoy Jannah, but told them very clearly, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا, don't come near هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ, don't come near this tree. Don't even eat from this tree, don't come near this tree. It was just a test. But when they ate from that tree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions very, very clearly that their modesty, they saw it came on them. Even their clothing were taken. This is how shaitan affected them so much. They were left in an immodest condition. And this is a very, very, very serious lesson for us. That one of the works that shaitan always tries to do, the greatest effort that he always makes on any person, any Muslim or any person who's trying to be righteous, one of the first things shaitan tries to do is make an effort to make this person consume something haram. Once he has done that, then a good 40-50% of his work is done. The rest is just has to put you on track, and that's it. It's very difficult to come out of that then. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us. Ameen. And give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان